All right, welcome back to Life It with DVD. Thanks for being here and watching. Today, I wanted to talk about drowning in the to-dos, the real reason that you're overwhelmed, and how to reclaim your calm again. So, we've all been there before, right? Your phone is buzzing, inbox is overflowing, you have 100 tabs up on your browser. Your mental to do list is just a mile long, and you're feeling scattered, anxious, frozen, or you just want to crawl out of your own skin. You're just so on edge. We call this overwhelm. But what if I told you that what you're experiencing isn't just in your head, it's a full body biological alarm system that's just firing on all cylinders. So, what is overwhelm really? It's your body, not just your mind. So, the core concept is that overwhelm is your nervous system hitting critical capacity. It's that feeling of having more demands, internal and external, than you have the resources to meet, right? So the physiology is, right, to explain it simply, this triggers your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response, your stress hormones skyrocket, your cortisol, your adrenaline floods your system, all over a perceived threat that isn't necessarily a threat. So your physical state starts to shift, your heart rate will increase, your muscles tense, digestion then shuts down, and your body is preparing for something to happen to you. The problem is your body can't tell the difference between the looming work deadline and some sort of prehistoric animal that wants to eat you. So the physiological response is the same. You are in a state of chronic low grade alarm, but the real survival threat isn't there anymore, right? So this is very unique to our digital age that we are living in, where things we perceive as threat that really aren't threats, but our body is perceiving it that way. So these physical and so what does overwhelm do to you mentally and physically, right? So there are signs here that you're getting overwhelmed. So the first are mental and emotional signs, right? Cognitive dysfunction, brain fog, the inability to focus, poor memory. Your prefrontal cortex, or the boss, the CEO of your brain, basically goes on holiday, goes on vacation, it's gone. We then have, some irritability, so emotional dysregulation, anxiety, emotional numbness. You might just start crying for no reason. All sorts of just signs that you're just kind of on having crazy mood swings. Behavioral shifts, procrastination. This is a freeze response. Avoiding things, snapping at loved ones. Um, Part of that can be, that fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. So the fawn is you start to, really focus on other people, right? That you're taking care of other people, that you're doing everything for them, right? Um, but then you have the physical and environmental signs. So these are often missed cues of kind of what I had referenced in my previous video of is it a mental or is it a physical thing that's creating your overwhelm. So this can be your body tension, so chronic muscle tension, neck, shoulders, maybe tension in your jaw. Do you have bruxism? Are your shoulders always tight? Does your neck hurt, right? Do you constantly need to go to the chiropractor and get an adjustment? Headaches. Do you randomly get headaches? Digestive issues? IBS, bloating, a weakened immune system, insomnia, sleep disturbances. So there's a number of things that can ultimately that you're having physically that are creating or participating in the overwhelm. So also, right, the environmental cues are a cluttered, chaotic living or work environment. Both can be a cause, but also a symptom of the overwhelmed nervous system, that you no longer have the bandwidth to create order. So once again, right, this is a cause and effect thing, these physical and environmental cues that then trigger the mental and emotional states that we are experiencing. So, is this a mind or body thing, right? Well, it's a loop. The mind will perceive a threat, the overflowing inbox, all of the missed calls, the texts, and then that'll signal the body to go on high alert. The body responds with stress hormones, that tension to help you get out of that situation, hopefully. But then that sends signals back to the brain to say that, hey, we're in danger here. We need to move. We need to have a better stress response to get us out of this situation. And ultimately, this creates just a absolutely vicious cycle of anxious thoughts, which then create an anxious body, right? That stress in the body, the shoulders, the neck, the jaw, which then creates more anxious thoughts. Why am I stressed? Why am I experiencing these things? I have to solve it, right? Oh, I got to look it up. I got to figure it out, right? So it becomes this downward spiral that we have a hard time getting out of, and you can't think your way out of the overwhelm because your thinking brain, that boss is gone. That executive function in your brain is gone. So the key insight here is to break the cycle. You must start with the body, and you have to reclaim your calm and get the nervous system to relax first, right? A calm body will then be able to create a calm mind. So how do you create more calm in your body? Well, first, you need to frame this as some sort of nervous system hygiene, right? You have to have daily practices, build habits that build resilience to, all of these to-dos in our digital world. You might not be able to get rid of all of these triggers, but what you can do is work on your resilience and your regulation of them. So initially, we have to have an instant reset. If we're experiencing this, right, we need to get back to step one. So, right, box breathing, tactical breathing. Inhale for 4 counts, hold it, and then exhale for 4 counts. I'm sure everybody has heard this before. We don't do it enough. We don't do it enough, myself included, right? I mean, I know these things, right? But at the same time, we always overlook the effect that it has on our nervous system. That's why, for me, I have specifically set aside 15 minutes where, I sit down or I lay down and I meditate. And I just work on my breathing and trying to clear my mind as much as possible with all of the things going on, right? So when we take our time, we do our box breathing, this will directly signal that, we are in a safe environment to our vagus nerve, which controls, our nervous system. So the next is a grounding technique, the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique, right? Name 5 things you see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, and 2 things you smell, and 1 thing you can taste. And this forces your brain into the present moment by getting into your sensory experience and out of your mind. So step 2 is reduce the input, declutter your environment. Your external space is the reflection of your internal state. So clean the room, clean the space. Doing physical tasks in your environment to organize or clean will always feel like you are exerting some form of control over the environment, and ultimately start to free up that bandwidth in the mind, even if it's just the mind, right? It's not, your digital space, but it's your physical space, your physical environment that you're exerting control over, which will help to relax your nervous system again. So, clear one surface, organize a drawer, take out the trash. A visually calmer environment directly reduces that neurological load. So, when it does come to your digital space as well, right? You can do things to declutter your digital space. Right? Maybe that just means filing things away, even if you aren't even gonna be able to look at them. Right? Clearing up that space is going to just visually feel better for your mind. So that way it just doesn't seem like you have as many to-dos. This comes down to prioritization as well, and that's a big thing for me. Where a lot of the things I do, I find them to be high priority. So it's like, when do I get the time to do this, right? Well, you might need to trim some things. So at least for me, with the tabs, that's a big one, right? If I haven't looked at it in a week, just get rid of it, or save it for later, or file it away somewhere. Maybe you'll come back to it, probably not. But ultimately, this will help the overwhelm. This will help you feel better. So step 3 here, practice time containers, not time management. So trying to manage an endless list, instead contain it. Use a timer. Work on something for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. Push that's the Pomodoro technique. But the feeling that you're pushing the ball forward on all of your tasks will make things feel manageable, right? It'll feel like you're making progress, so it won't be as much of a burden on the mind. Step 4, build long-term resilience, right? Train your vagal tone. Cold exposure, so 30-second cold shower, or at the end of your hot shower. It was a powerful vagus nerve stimulator to help you relax. Humming or singing loudly vibrates the vagus nerve, promoting calm, and prioritizing sleep and nutrition. Right, this is a foundation. You need to include exercise in there too, because that also helps to relax the body, and put your to take out tension. And ultimately we fuel ourselves with proper nutrition, organic, getting as the best sleep as we can. And ultimately, when we prioritize this foundation, these foundational things, right, an overwhelmed brain and body, just can't heal without the proper rest and fuel. So in conclusion here, right, we need to move from reactivity to response to resilience. Overwhelm isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that your nervous system is just calling for help. By learning to listen to your body and actively practicing your calm, you're not just putting out a fire, you're building a fireproof life. And you're not supposed to live in the constant state of emergency. And if you feel like it's like you want to live like that, then, right, what is the downside to living like that, right? Do you feel your body being, uptight and stressed? Could it be affecting, right, the way you think about things, the way you organize things in your mind? Absolutely. But the pattern, as always, as I say, it's about awareness. We're meant to feel calm, focused, and in control. And, that is our birthright. That is, a gift from God, that we have the ability to think. But the modern world, our digital world, our responsibilities are out of control most of the time, right? There's a lot being asked of us. And sometimes we just need to simplify and reduce the noise, get organized, feel like we're taking small steps, on the progress to limit our overwhelm. And, ultimately, when we do these things, when we stay focused, right? I mean, getting off social media is such a huge one too. But when we do these things, we reclaim our mind, and that will help to reduce the overwhelm. So, what is the one thing that most consistently triggers your sense of overwhelm? Right? For me, sometimes it's the doom scrolling, right? Sometimes it's just the amount of tabs or emails that I have. If it's your phone, your workload, your clutter, let me know. We'll see if we can help. If this video helped you understand, a little bit more about your overwhelm and your body's response to it, as well as some of the environmental triggers, let me know. Feel free to like or subscribe. That would mean a tremendous amount to me. And until next time, I think I will call it here. So, see ya.